when I went to college and I studied all the, so to speak, problems of the world, overpopulation, resource depletion, what else? There's more, climate change, pollution, the toxicity of our planet, the loss of biodiversity. There was a lot of repetition of that, and there wasn't much in the ways of, well, what the heck are we going to do? And so when I graduated from college, it was, I think, it had this, the notion to try to explore the solutions by going out and looking for stuff in action, and traveled around and got a lot of different ideas, but there wasn't necessarily a place that I could felt comfortable just going and trying to do it, and to a place where it would be inviting for other people to come to experience it as well. And so to doing it, is, we're doing some of it, and it's a nice package that we put together here, but there's so much more that can be done. What we have done is set up a system where we're trying to get back to the land and simplifying. Also, we're employing modern technologies, photovoltaics, and composting toilet, sort of renewable energy strategies to make life not exactly like it was in 1750. As far as the the creature comforts that everybody's scared of losing, more or less. It's an interesting compromise. It's always been an interesting compromise, and it continues to evolve. Well, the nature of it is educational. I mean, for me, I have a title. I'm supposedly the director or something, but I learn things every day, and that's what keeps me satisfied with this position, with this role, is that it's educational in practicality. I'm not really in favor of taking any more education testing or whatever, taking bubble tests and memorizing stuff. At this point, way more about employing the strategies and testing things and experimenting with things, and making that the challenge, and getting into the practicalities of stuff. So it's education in that format. It's very interesting because lots of people are so that their mindset is so confined in some degrees to that, you're going to give me information and I'm going to try to retain it. Whereas here is like, well, here's the shovel, and if you get your body in motion and you start digging the hole, then you're going to understand things a lot better about hole digging than I could ever sit here and tell you about digging a hole, And it's, for us as well, it's, well, today we want to preserve these raspberries. Well, what are we going to do? How are we going to do it? Are we going to freeze them? Are we going to can them? Are we going to eat them out of hand? Are we going to try to sell them to our neighbors? That's the doing part that I really like versus just the theory. This is what we need to get beyond.
You seem to have an interest in appropriate technology and building what we need, essentially, out of what's available.
Yeah, I really feel strongly about using what we got. Especially, it seems like in this day and age, so much of it was being shipped overseas. You'd have a tractor or another implement, a wood stove that, it was already manufactured, it's functional, and then people were melting it down and building a new inferior tractor or wood stove or a trinket of some kind, and just that whole notion is just contrary to what needs to be happening. If you have a sliding glass door that gets a little fogged or whatnot, you can still do a lot with it versus smashing it and trying to rebuild a sliding glass door. So it's really about finding what's available. And so much of that has been gleaned. I've gleaned that, and I think the people working here have gleaned it from international travel and really looking at where there's not two sticks to rub together, trying still how to figure out how to build fire. You know, just people around the world are so innovative with whatever's at hand, and in this country we end up we throw everything away and ask for a new one, order it through the internet or whatnot. But, yeah, there's definitely lots of innovations that we're employing here that were gleaned, you know, south of the border. So
Yeah, like this, like the stove from Argentina. And
Well, yeah, this building is very new and modern and conventional, and it was really a compromise at the time. You know, when I first come here, we had much more, visions of building naturally, and building with materials at hand, non-toxic, just things that would recycle, would go back to the earth. And this building was a huge compromise, and it was pretty much from that point more or less vowed to continue moving away from it. Like never go back. You never want to build anything like this again. So that it was like my last foray into conventional building, and ever since then, just taking steps, just trying to plan to avoid using conventional materials, using new materials, and make do with what we got. If it isn't, screened in and it's not climate controlled, then we need to figure out another way to either live with the bugs or figure out a ventilation pattern that cools the building. Just different strategies, because we're sick of buying stuff. We got enough stuff around here. The education program, for instance, our clients range from people that are just passing through, we'll tell you about the composting toilet, we'll tell you about the food system here, go see the pigs, see what's going on, to the at-risk youth, that we have established relationships with local schools. They come for volunteer days. They have other situations where we've had, a fella coming up for the whole summer, 3 days a week. And then you also have like the regular schools. You have elementary ed, you have summer camps, you have private schools. We also do workshops, one-off workshops, where the general public can learn about composting or gardening or blacksmithing. And so just within that educational format, that genre, you have multiple streams. And you don't really get yourself into, well, this is our bread and butter. Like, I never really want to get into feeling like that. With the overnight accommodation, sometimes it does feel like that. With the climbers, it's just there's a preponderance of climbers coming through here. Yeah, it's good. It's in a way, they have their own little world. That they all they speak this language, and now within that world, the East Coast climbers all know about the acres. The climbers, speak to their parents. They speak to their siblings. They speak to their children, and that's in a sense, like for me, a technique to get into this grassroots type organized and to spread this information horizontally. Instead, we're obviously sort of at the whim of Fox and everyone else that's giving us the information from the top down.